a statement immediately. Like, we're not going through this whole entire race host monkey noise bullshit again. Following a report of a comment directed toward a player, arena security spoke with the fan involved and witnesses. Security determined there was no violation of the fan code of conduct. The fan was not removed from the arena, but elected to leave.
The entire narrative is altered by that statement. A grievance was filed. In real time, security looked into it. When questioned, witnesses reported that they had not discovered any violations of the fan code. However, see what transpires when that's...
Here's Chelsea Gray talking about that.
Yeah, I don't know the specifics, but like stuff gets said on the sideline quite often. It wasn't directed at me, it was directed at Jackie. And she told somebody, and clearly they found reason to kick him out.
According to Chelsea Gray, she did not personally hear the remark. She claims that Jackie Young was the target, and she understood that security had sufficient justification to eject the fans. At the moment, that distinction seems insignificant. It's not because the entire conversation shifts when she learns what the fever actually ended, and that's the part that's worth sticking for. This goes beyond a single offensive comment made by a spectator during a basketball game. In a league that has already dealt with widely reported allegations of fan behavior, the true question is what happens when an accusation spreads more quickly than the inquiry. Does anyone care enough to change the initial...
Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray tried their best. Oh, they tried their best to facilitate some type of race situation, some type of Jussie Smollett situation, some type of angel.
The incident is instantly framed in the most dramatic way imaginable by the podcast, which draws comparisons to earlier disputes regarding claims of racism surrounding WNBA games. That is commentary, not proof, and the difference is important. The actual public facts are substantially more limited at this stage of the cycle. Security confronted the individuals involved after a player reported a statement, and the arena administration investigated the incident. Because every audience incorporates history into the next incident, that alone has the potential to become explosive. Players in the WNBA have previously discussed antagonistic fan behavior. Additionally, fans have expressed dissatisfaction about the misinterpretation of simple heckling as something darker. Therefore, people are already deciding which prior scandal this one allegedly resembles before anyone even knows what was said. In just 30 seconds, a disagreement over basketball may escalate into a culture war. A player felt something cross the line. One side hears, "Be serious."
Indiana Fever fans were just escorted out for saying something to a Las Vegas player. Here we go again.
The right people. So.
Got these two guys out of here. Now, the funniest thing is when you look at the comments of this post, all victims here. And
now observe how quickly the gaps are filled in by social media. Two Fever supporters were reportedly hauled out after making a comment to a Las Vegas player. According to the original post, the remarks presume wrongdoing right away. Some commend security for getting rid of them. Fans are insulted by some. Some begin making jokes about what might have been said. However, the majority of those individuals are unaware of the actual comment at that point. I'm not sure whether the males were formally expelled or what witnesses informed security. This story's first significant lesson is that, on the internet, words create reality. The conversation between security and a fan sounds formal. It sounds disciplinary to have fans taken out. Being expelled for mistreating a player seems to indicate that guilt has already been proven. These three tales differ greatly from one another. However, the same few seconds...
Say anything at all. He was just chirping all game and I let him have it. Then he just made that one that was a little bit too far. She didn't elaborate on what she felt crossed the line, was glad about because it didn't cross the line.
This version of Jackie Young's explanation is more measured than the one found online. The fan had been chirping during the game, according to her. After her response, she made a comment that she felt went too far. The precise statements in this clip are not made public by her. This means that two things could be true simultaneously. It's possible that Jackie Young truly believed a personal boundary had been broken. It's also possible that security determined that nothing stated violated the written code of conduct for the stadium. There is no conflict between those conclusions. At this point, the discussion becomes more engaging than just determining who is lying. Because heckling is a feature of sports, a professional athlete does not give up their right to be offended. However, being offended does not always equate to committing a crime. For just this reason, arenas have codes. Removal may be justified by threats, derogatory remarks, specific harassment, interference with play, and abusive behavior. Below that threshold, regular trash talk, even unpleasant trash talk, can occur. We are not informed that the remark was courteous by the Fever statement.
Comment directed toward a player. Arena security spoke with the fan involved and witnesses. Security determined there was no violation of the fan code of conduct. The fan was not removed from the arena.
After reading the report of a comment made about a player, pay close attention to the terminology. The fan who was a witness was interviewed by arena security. This indicates that neither the player's interpretation nor the fan's self-defense were their only sources of information. They looked for other persons in the area. The crucial statement follows. Security concluded that the fan code of conduct had not been broken. And lastly, the point that will later become very important. The supporter chose to leave the venue instead of being taken out. Because the statement never releases a transcript of the conversation, that does not disprove every claim regarding the specific wording. It does, however, directly refute the assertion that the fan was formally expelled by security due to misbehavior. Music, because of this distinction, the incident gained more attention than it otherwise might have. If the Fever had issued one of those ambiguous, open-ended declarations, such as "We are aware of an incident and are investigating," it would have taken days for people to develop theories. Rather, the organization...
The fan said, "I'm out of here. This is a waste of my damn time. This is how you're treating your paying customer? I spent, what, $500 for these seats? And Jackie Young's going to say that I called it, just because I said this game was boring, I got to get escorted out of here. Just because I said I'm bored as rocks, I'd rather watch paint dry."
The fan was essentially saying he had spent a lot of money, felt wrongly accused, and no longer wanted to stay, according to the podcast's dramatic imagined rendition of his response. Here, we ought to be exact. That conversation is not a verifiable quotation from the fan, but rather the host's analysis and conjecture. However, it is worthwhile to look at the larger picture that lies beneath the exaggeration. Imagine paying top dollar for a WNBA game, being pulled aside after a player complains something you said, and then learning through witness interviews that you didn't break any rules. The fan can still be irate even if the personnel handled the process properly. From the standpoint of the arena, security has very few viable options. Staff cannot just disregard a player's reported offensive remarks because the fan purchased a pricey ticket. They must look into it. Everyone wonders why the organization did nothing if the accusation turns out to be serious. Therefore, never questioning a fan cannot be the true ideal. Fair questioning, seeking confirmation where feasible, and not treating an accusation as a verdict are all necessary standards. That's precisely why the witness piece is so important. Movement can be captured by an arena full with cameras. Fans in the vicinity can frequently determine what was actually yelled. Security staff are able...
If you can't say what he said and can't take fan heckling you, then you're thin-skinned. Aces and a few teams always looking for something or someone to complain about at Fever games. Fever said they looked into it. It didn't cross the line to be kicked out or removed. Why not say what it was? Because they questioned surrounding fans and determined whatever he said.
The public's response has suddenly changed. When the Fever comes to an end, people start to wonder why no one has publicly disclosed what the remark was if it was significant enough to spark such outrage. That has a reasonable response. For the amusement of social media, Jackie Young is not required to repeat anything she deems objectionable. The lack of clarity also restricts what others can legitimately allege. But a player can complain behavior to security without making the post-game press conference into a courtroom. We can't elevate the accusation to a more serious level if we don't know the language. The fan's use of a racial insult cannot be declared. We are unable to say that Jackie staged the whole exchange. The evidence we have does not support either conclusion. From the transcript, we can only determine the order. There was a reported comment. Personnel from the arena looked into it. Witnesses were consulted. No violations of the code of conduct were discovered by security. Instead of being officially removed, the fan opted to depart. Attribution is required for everything else. And that's important because the podcast's most offensive argument is that someone might have escalated the story into a racial slur claim if there hadn't been a quick investigation. The information provided contains no proof that Jackie
actually spoke to witnesses because, he called me the N-word. You know that was coming. You know that if no investigation was done by the Indiana Fever, you know that was. He called me the N-word. You know that was coming. Thank God we don't need to go.
The entire controversy is purportedly critical. You know he called me the N-word, so it's a good thing they spoke to witnesses. You knew that was going to happen. You are aware that he called me the N-word if no investigation was conducted by the Indiana Fever. You anticipated that. Thankfully, we don't have to experience this. At this point, the discourse shifts from criticizing a procedure to speculating about what someone might have said. And viewers should be aware of that line. You may contend that by promptly handling the issue, the Fever stopped a rumor cycle. The timeline that is shown here supports that. It is unfair to assert that a certain player was undoubtedly getting ready to fabricate a racial accusation. The video contains no proof of that. The critique is strengthened rather than weakened by that division. Music, considering the incentives, you don't need an imagined scandal when the actual media dynamic is already fascinating enough. Engagement is generated by an ambiguous report about fan wrongdoing. People immediately relate it to their current position on the WNBA culture controversy. Without context, accounts begin to cut videos.
Yeah, I don't know the specifics, but like stuff gets said on the sideline quite often. It wasn't directed at me, it was directed at Jackie. And she told somebody, and clearly they found reason to kick him out. I'm just leave it there.
They didn't get kicked out though, Chelsea Gray. They didn't get kicked out, so I'll just leave it there.
I mean, if they didn't find any, I mean, they had a reason to kick him out. So
they didn't get kicked out though, Chelsea Gray. They didn't get kicked out.
Players are questioned about it. It can become a segment on national shows. Thousands of people have already formed an opinion by the time the official finding is made public. Quick fact-finding disrupts that machinery. It eliminates the void that fosters the worst presumptions. And that takes us right back to Chelsea Gray, whose conversation with reporters is the clearest illustration of what happens when a fair assumption collides with recently discovered knowledge.
I mean, if they didn't find any, I mean, they had a reason to kick him out. So
they didn't get kicked out though, Chelsea Gray. They didn't get kicked out.
They don't just do that for nothing.
They actually found that it wasn't, but that Dan opted to remain out.
Look. Oh, what? Oh, you mean they didn't get kicked out? Jackie Young was